Good morning. Welcome to the Wichita Police Department Interwatch. It is the end of a week, Friday, March 30th, end of another month as well. We have several items we're going to cover today. We have 2 aggravated batteries that occurred yesterday, one early this morning and one last night. And then also we're going to talk about an update on the aggravated robbery that occurred on the 26th, where 2 arrests were made. And then we have a special guest, a member of the Wichita Police Department Homeless Outreach Team, who recently received an award. So I'll have Officer Paul Cruz come up and talk a little bit about that award, as well as Officer Matt Lowe with the HOT team. So have a lot of things to cover. So let's jump right into it. First one is the aggravated battery in the 800 block of South Hydraulic. That case number is 18C 19960. Again, 18C 19960. This occurred early this morning about 1 a.m. On Friday, March 30th at approximately 1 a.m., officers responded to a cutting call at the Bradford Glen Apartments in the 800 block of South Hydraulic. When officers arrived, they made contact with a 36-year-old male who had a stab wound to his stomach. They also made contact with a 29-year-old female who had stab wounds to her leg. Both of these individuals were transported to an area hospital for medical treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. Through the investigation, it was learned that a disturbance had ensued between the 29-year-old female, the 36-year-old male, and another 24-year-old female, after the 24-year-old female was asked to leave and refused to leave the residence. The 24-year-old female was arrested for battery and disorderly conduct fighting domestic violence. Wichita Police Department investigators are still working to determine all the circumstances of what occurred during this incident. This was not a random incident, and the parties are known to each other.
Do you know why the 24-year-old woman was at the residence?
The 24-year-old female and the 29-year-old female are involved in a relationship.
And what's their relationship to the male?
The male lives at that residence, and the 29-year-old female also lives at that residence. All right, second case. So we're going to talk about another aggravated battery. This occurred in the 1200 block of North Jackson last night at approximately 8:40 p.m. Case number 18C 19918. Thursday, March 29th at approximately 8:40 p.m., officers responded to a clubbing call in the 1200 block of North Jackson. When they arrived, they made contact with a 62-year-old male who reported to officers that he was driving down the street when an unknown item was thrown at his vehicle. The male advised that he confronted 2 unknown males, and one of the males began to batter him, and a second unknown male retrieved a baseball bat and struck him with the bat. The victim sustained substantial but non-life-threatening injuries. Through interviews involved with involved parties and with witnesses, a 17-year-old suspect was developed and also arrested. The 17-year-old male was booked into the juvenile detention facility for aggravated battery and an outstanding warrant. This investigation is still ongoing. We are asking if anyone has any additional information to please call Crime Stoppers 267-2111 or our detectives 268-4407. It is appreciated of those witnesses who provided information to us as we were investigating this incident. And it's a reminder that if you see something, to say something. This being Easter weekend and also Final Four tournament weekend, there'll be a lot of busy activities throughout our community. So we're asking and reminding everybody, if you see criminal or suspicious behavior, call 911 so officers can respond to address the situation. The witnesses in this incident were paramount in helping us make an arrest in this violent crime and as we continue to investigate this incident.
This all took place out on the street?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Police are still looking for one more.
We're still investigating the incident to determine everything that occurred, yes. All right, just an update on the aggravated robbery from person that occurred on the 26th at approximately 12 o'clock noon in the 500 block of West Central, the case number 19091. I just want to provide an update on the aggravated robbery from person, again, that occurred March 26th at approximately 12 p.m., where a 23-year-old male victim was shot in the leg and property taken from him. Wichita Police Department officers and investigators worked very hard following up on this violent crime, and through the investigation, 2 arrests have been made in reference to the incident. A 19-year-old female was arrested and booked into jail for aggravated robbery and aggravated battery. A 23-year-old male was also arrested and booked into jail for aggravated robbery and also, again, aggravated battery. Great job by officers and investigators in doing diligent follow-up, leading to the 2 arrests in this violent crime. This was not a random incident.
So did they know?
They did not know each other, but it was something that they had. It was something that was set up, basically.
What had they set up? You previously told they set up to meet.
Right, and I'm not going to get into all the details. Again, this is something that we're still. It will be presented. They were arrested. It will be presented. So I'm not going to go into all the details of the investigation, other than what 2 arrests were made at this time, and they were set up to meet there at that location.
Was it the man or the woman who shot the gun?
I don't know the exact who fired the weapon, but I do know that 2 arrests were made, a male and a female.
Was the property recovered?
I'll check on that. I don't know. Those are all the items that I had to cover today. We're going to have a member of our hot team here. We do have a member of our hot team here. Any other questions before we get to that? All right. Well, Officer Paul Cruz is here, and again, Officer Matt Lowe with our hot team. So I'll hand it off to Officer Cruz and allow him to discuss a little bit about this award this morning. Thank you. You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Officer Cruz. The Wichita Police Department hot team was a team that was put together a few years back, and the efforts that have been put into place for this type of work has been tremendous, and really there's been a lot of efforts, there's been a lot of resources, there's been a lot of officers that really dedicate their time. It takes someone that has a true passion for the community, a true desire to serve those that are underserved and are vulnerable community members. So the Wichita Police Department Homeless Outreach Team was presented yesterday an award by the Wichita Medical Research and Education Foundation Board of Directors. They were presented with the R.A. Jiggs Nelson Quality of Life Award. This is in recognition to the members of the team's innovative methods to reach out to the homeless in our community, their unique approach to collaborate with service providers and businesses while using trained officers who recognize the distinct needs of the homeless has provided an improved quality of life for those vulnerable community citizens. So this award was presented to the Wichita Homeless Outreach Team to talk about what this award means and what efforts the Homeless Outreach Team has done in the past few years to deserve such an honor. I'm going to ask Officer Matt Lowe to join us and talk a little bit about that. Thanks, Paul.
I'm Officer Lowe with the Homeless Outreach Team. I've been on the department for 16 years, and I've been on the Homeless Outreach Team for about 9 months. And I can tell you, in the time on the department, this is the most rewarding position that I've been in, and the most frustrating, because we do run into a populace that has mental illness, has addictions, has barriers that they don't want to talk to police. And I think that's the most important part of our outreach program, is that we can bridge that gap. So we were already on the street running into our homeless population, and what we were seeing is a cycle of behavior where the only tools we really had was to write citations, make arrests, and the cycle continues because they don't have jobs, they can't pay the fines. So Officer Schwiedall did some research, found some other programs that worked really well, created a program for Wichita, and here we are today, receiving an awesome award that we couldn't do without the providers. And I'm glad that they listed in there the providers, because without them, we couldn't do what we do and how we do it. Housing programs, food programs, furniture, all those things would not be possible without those providers helping us help the community that we're trying to help. So, like Housing First, how are you going to get off your addiction if you're still living on the street? A philosophy that we didn't really think about beforehand, and someone come up with this, great idea. Let's get them housed and settled, and then let's start working on that addiction. So programs like that, programs like Center of Hope, where they provide that assistance to prevent you from being homeless, or rent assistance, or when we get homeless persons housed, they help with those first set of bills that come in, because they're coming from the street. So if we don't help them get out of that situation, it's harder. It's much harder to do that. And the frustrating part is running into people that you see the need there. You want to help them. You want to just say, this is all you have to do is A, B, C, and D. It's much harder than that because we're human. So it's really nice to be able to make those connections, and that's the most rewarding part, is when they say, yeah, I'm going to let you help me. The frustrating part is when you have to go back out and continually make contact with those persons that you see day in, day out, and go, when are you going to let me help you? So another thing that we were seeing is citation, 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 arrest, arrest, arrest. Our team kind of gets out of that. We give a lot of breaks, and we work with the courts, and we work with the person that we have a violation on for drinking in public or something like that. And instead of writing that ticket, we can say, hey, we're going to defer that charge if you want to come and talk to an addiction specialist. So we break them out of that cycle, or we try to. So we have some tools at our disposal that some of the other providers don't have when they do their outreach. So it's an honor to receive this, and I really want to thank the providers for helping us help the community, because we all live in the community, and they're a part of it as well. So we just need to deliver that help to them. So, did you guys have any questions about our team? Or
How many officers are on the team?
3. We have 3 officers and 1 sergeant, who is also over the Community Policing South team. Yeah.
Is there any one of those programs, 1 or 2, that have really, really been a success in Wichita?
All of them. Honestly, yes, all of them. From non-veterans up to veterans. The Center of Hope that I mentioned helps with bill assistance, and there's a few others. Catholic Charities, Interfaith. Anybody that takes our homeless and shelters them is huge. I mean, you're giving a roof over their heads. You're feeding them, and that's huge. And we have amazing providers in Wichita, which is a double-edged sword. You have those provisions, so it brings more homeless persons to Wichita. They're like, hey, I heard you have great services. What we hope that they're doing is using these resources to get out of their situation and not perpetuating their situation. And that's where we kind of come in for that outreach part of it, is they'll stay in a shelter, but then they're out on the street during the day. So we run into them and go, hey, have you heard of this program, this program, this program? What can we do to get you out of your homeless situation? What are you doing now to get yourself out of that homeless situation? And that we bridge that gap. Because maybe they've just used the shelter as housing and not as a resource to move forward. So, sure. Officer Matt, M-A-T-T, Lowe, L-O-W-E. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, officer.
Thanks.
Once again, we want to thank everybody for being here today. Again, if you are a community member, and I know this really touches every community members, and if there's anybody that would like to help out the homeless outreach team or want to help out with this effort, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to the homeless outreach team. Contact us through Facebook. We'll get you in contact with the hot team. And I think this needs to be a community effort, and this is why this team was established, but they do need a lot of help. So if you are a community member and you want to learn more about how to help, go ahead and send us a message through Facebook. We'll get you in contact with the homeless outreach team and make sure that we connect both of you. That's all we have. Thank you.